What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Taylor, and this is Talkin Sports with my dad.
And I'm Jeff Taylor. Now, you might know me from the name of the show. We did say dad.
Yep.
I am the dad in the title, so it's an awesome title.
Sure.
Maybe we'll change it one day.
Right.
So, hey, on this show, guys, if you've never watched us before, we talk sports.
Yeah, and I'm not saying my opinions are better. I mean, how could they be, right? The guy next to me, he's got just days upon years upon years of experience. You got to think his tires have way more many miles than mine do. I mean, look, he's got an autographed Bible.
All right.
Yeah.
We get the point. The gray beard, the balding head, I get it.
All right, now, so today, though, we're going to try to see if those opinions are going to rival my own as we talk about whether or not you should follow a team versus a player and the pros and cons of the MLB pitch clock.
And we're also going to talk GOAT conversation. What's the best baseball movie? The Browns quarterback, who is the GOAT when we talk about that football team, is sports betting ruining the fun of sports. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right, Dad, whose side are you on?
Your side.
Well, no, you're not. That's the whole point of the show, okay? Right? Look, it's all about rooting for teams or for you players. Which is it?
Well, I don't know. You know, you think about the Luka trade. A lot of Maverick fans, they stayed with the Mavs after the trade. But, you know, there were also that were kind of now Laker fans.
Yeah.
We talk about Chris Paul playing for 6 teams. You know, where are the fans there? Do they follow the team? Do they follow him? So who knows?
Yeah, I know. It brings up a great question. Like we said, who to follow, teams or the players?
That's a tough one. You know, I go back to who I am and football and stuff, and being the Oilers Titans fan for years, I will always be a Titans fan. But when Steve McNair went to Baltimore, I still rooted for Steve McNair. I would love to see Derrick Henry win a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
But my heart and soul is with the team itself. For me, it's always really been about the team and the history of the teams. You think about the Yankees or the Mets. You know, Yankee and Mets fans are Yankee and Mets fans.
Yeah.
You know, you think about the Rangers, or you think about, I guess the list could go on and on.
Yeah, it could. No, I think for me, you should never, we talked about it, off camera, about changing affiliation, what makes it right to do so. I never think you really should.
Right.
Stick with the team that you picked as long as you have
Dance with the girl who brought you.
Sure. As long as you have a valid reason for doing so, stick with that team. I don't think, like you said, that you have to necessarily choose between rooting for a specific player and that team.
Right.
Unless they were to go to like a rival organization. There was Jerry Seinfeld had a bit about, people would love this player and then he switches teams and they hate him. Nothing changed about the person. He just changed clothes that he's wearing.
Right.
So you're not rooting for the player, you're rooting for the clothes that he's wearing. But for me, if he goes one way or the other, that's fine. I would still root for former, Panthers players or, South Carolina Gamecocks once they get to the NFL, even if they're playing for opposite teams.
Right.
I think that's it exists throughout sports.
2 of my favorite players of all time was Steve McNair and Derrick Henry. I'm never going to root for the Ravens, though.
Yeah,
I'd like
fair.
to see that team win. But also, and this is just some advice, they have those fat heads.
Yeah.
Don't ever buy your favorite player.
No.
Because every time we bought you a fat head or your 2 brothers a fat head, that
Yeah.
player was there for 1 year and then they're gone.
And, then
and we had to rip them down.
It never failed.
It
so
never failed. Or jerseys.
Yeah, no, I've stopped buying jerseys altogether because Lord knows if the team's going to be there or the player's going to be on that team by the time you get that jersey in the mail. So definitely don't do that in terms of merchandise. You can root for the team. When it comes to merchandise and anything like that, do the team, stick away from the personal stuff.
So love the team, like the player.
Yeah,
Let's
there
go
you
that route.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a swing at a baseball topic now. This is Hack in My Day, and the question is the MLB pitch clock. Yes or no?
Yeah, so in an effort to speed the pace of play up, a 15-second timer between pitches was implemented only in 2023. It's actually 15 seconds with the bases empty, 20 seconds with runners on. So then in 2024, they reduced the runner on timer, and that timer was replaced to 18 seconds. So if that's not all complicated enough,
I'm writing this down.
Right, there are 8 stipulations that are added to that rule. So what do we think about it in general?
Whatever. I don't like it. I mean, I think people go to baseball games, the fans, to enjoy the game. It is long. I will agree. But I mean, it just depends on the pace of the play. I mean, sometimes games are quick, sometimes they're longer. To me, you're taking away once again from just what baseball is. It's going out on a Friday night, sitting there with a hot dog and a beer in this beautiful stadium, enjoying the night. It's almost about the atmosphere. And I think the longer you're in that atmosphere, it's cool. And I get it because I think I'm wondering, does it have to do with TV?
I think absolutely.
In terms of that, and I'm waiting for them, and it may already be, so correct me if I'm wrong. Are those pitch clocks sponsored now?
They probably could be, but I think that for me,
go ahead.
It's a great thing, to be honest. Every other major sports that has that need to move play along outside of,
shot clock, play clock.
soccer has running clock the entire time with time added on at the end. I think, you watch in high school basketball, for a lot of states in the country, not all of them, but a lot of them don't have a play clock.
Right.
And you can take forever to do it. You can just stand there and dribble. And I've seen teams do that. So
Four corners, man.
Like for baseball, there's no reason to do so. I think when you have the play, because if you didn't have it in the NFL or in the NBA,
right,
you would see just how long it drags out. And so I think it absolutely makes sense to have a pitch clock in there. And for me, whether it's on TV or in person or not, I think it makes sense because of the fact that, for someone who isn't the biggest baseball fan, it drags on and on and on. So having it to where they have to go through, they can't just sit there, shake their head, put hand signs behind their back or what have you. I think it makes a lot of sense to do so.
Well, and the way they've messed it up a little bit is just pick something and stick with it. I know that situations change and stuff, but make it 15, make it 20, make it whatever.
That is a lot.
You know what I'm getting at? And then you get the stipulations,
and
is this runner on, is that, and to me, you can kind of get lost in the fog with that. And, for pitchers, maybe they're doing it so they don't have time to rub Vaseline on the ball or, adjust their hat or do whatever. But, it's like, at what point are you going to get into how much time does a batter have to step into the box?
Right.
How long can they step out?
Yeah.
It's just you go on and on and on and you change things. I do agree with you though in terms of every sport out there seems to have it.
Everything.
So if you go that route, why is baseball any different?
Right.
I think it's still just that historical factor of what baseball means. We're talking America's favorite pastime. We've discussed that, but I agree with you.
There we go. See? All right, Dad, what's the best baseball movie of all time?
Wow, this must be one of my favorite segments. Go Talk with Dad.
Yep.
And of course, Talking Sports with Dad, we're going to crown the best sports movies of all time. But today we're going to focus on one sport.
Yeah, all right, so baseball movies, like we said. Now, according to The Hollywood Reporter, these are the top 10 choices, right? Boiling Point, The Pride of the Yankees, Sugar, Bang the Drum Slowly, A League of Their Own, The Natural, Fear Strikes Out, Bull Durham, Moneyball, and 8 Men Out.
All right, I'm going to throw in Field of Dreams.
In fact, that's not on there.
I know. And Major League, that was a little interesting. Go.
Again, another one that I was surprised isn't on there, The Sandlot.
Kill me.
That's right. It is an amazing movie about baseball and a lot more. For someone, like I said, growing up, baseball was not my favorite sport. It made me want to like baseball.
It connected with the youth. It really did.
And connect with that time frame that it's set in. It's just a great summer movie, great baseball movie. It, to me, is, while it's not necessarily about the play of it, it's about everything that everyone says about the grandeur and the magic surrounding baseball.
Right.
That's what it encapsulates to me.
Wow. I go with The Natural with Robert Redford, and that was just a great movie. This guy who could just hit the cover off the ball.
Yeah.
And it was such a great movie. But I kind of, when I think of Field of Dreams, and I think about that movie. You can put James Earl Jones in any movie, and it's going to be fantastic. Right, exactly. So I think, for me, Field of Dreams and that whole kind of reconnecting with his dad. At the very end, at the very end, you've never watched me watch that movie, but it always, tears every time.
Yeah.
He goes out, hey, you want to have a catch?
Yeah.
And if you don't get emotional about that line, it's just, to me, in baseball movies, that line, or if you build it, he will come.
Yeah.
Just those iconic kind of lines. I'm sitting here talking about it and kind of get, goosebumps. Because it was so well done, and just the whole story of, is this heaven? And just bringing back the old players, and it just connected with people. So for me, I'd go Field of Dreams.
There's a huge list. I'm surprised there were some that aren't on there. 42, right?
Right,
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie.
This one's a comedy, but Benchwarmers I always thought was really, really funny, right? And then Angels in the Outfield, right?
Another great one, yeah.
That was a really good one.
There was one, The Rookie.
The Rookie,
that had Dennis Quaid in it, and the list goes on. And the cool part about it is, and that's the thing I love about movies, it just transports you into something that you can just latch onto. We weren't big baseball fans and stuff like that, but we watched those movies, and they connected. And when a movie can do that, like The Sandlot, or Field of Dreams, or The Natural, and the list goes on, that's pretty special.
Absolutely.
All right, Jack, so here's one for you. Let's do Go Talk with Son.
There it is.
There it is, exactly.
I got the reins.
All right, go ahead.
So, the season on Talkin Sports with Dad.
Thank you.
We're picking the GOAT quarterback for every NFL team. Today's team, the Cleveland Browns.
All right, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
When you think about quarterbacks with great records, Let's see
Not
what
a lot of
yeah,
rounds.
all right, so Sports Illustrated put Otto Graham first with a record. He was 57-13. He played from 1946 to 1955. That's even before my time.
You sure?
Yes.
All right, but there's some, stipulations. SI has Bernie Kosar. There's, Frank Ryan as well. Brian Sipe. Then you get into like Baker Mayfield territory, below 500 record, and they have probably more quarterbacks, I would say,
Right.
than any other team in NFL history, even in the time frame that they've had. So I think it's an interesting conversation.
Well, it's interesting because number one, there are no championships.
Yeah.
So where do you even go with it?
Yeah.
For me, Johnny Man. No, I was going to say Johnny Manziel. A little humor there.
Yeah.
Bernie Kosar. I remember the battles that he had in the AFC Championship games with John Elway and the Denver Broncos, and it had not been for 2 drives, in terms of John Elway and stuff like that. Where would Bernie Kosar fall in terms of some of the, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? He had a wild throwing motion. It was almost sidearm. He would throw the ball, and I'm like, what's he doing? But for me, it would be Bernie Kosar. I'd have to go with him. I know that, the older generation would go with Otto and stuff, but I think for us and what we saw on TV and seeing the progression of it, it would be Bernie.
I would still go with Otto Graham, to be honest. That was the main name. I knew Bernie Kosar, but Otto Graham's the main name that actually stuck out, right?
Right.
That you could have. But there's some other ones, right? Shadur Sanders, maybe,
No,
right? Look at
let's
their
not
quarterback
even-
room right now. They got 5 chances to get their greatest ever, right?
The door's wide open.
Joe Flacco, too.
I mean, you literally almost could not answer that question because that story is probably still to be written.
Right? The amount of players that they've had, you think of Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme.
Deshaun Kaiser, maybe?
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser. The list of guys, Jameis Winston,
Right.
It goes down the line. The amount of quarterbacks that they've had on the Browns is ridiculous.
I remember a guy had like a T-shirt on.
Yeah, with
and
all
it had
of
the
them.
back of it.
Yeah, and
then it was
past
like,
the
and it
shirt.
went down, and then he goes, hold on, need it, and then he put a couple more on the front.
Yeah.
Is that a sad statement on the organization? Who runs the team? You got 5 quarterbacks. You drafted 2. What are you doing?
A whole other discussion.
I don't think they'll find. Right now, we'll go with Bernie Kosar. We'll stick with him. You said Otto Graham. That's a good one. Cleveland Browns. You better find a GOAT if you want to win a Super Bowl.
All right, Dad, I need a history lesson here, okay?
Age, I've got it. History, good.
That you do, all right?
Years of experience.
The Gatorade bath. How did it start?
1984, the New York Giants were on a losing streak. Coach Bill Parcells decided to make an example of nose tackle Jim Burt. He kept him after practice and made him do dumbbells for 45 minutes straight. Whole one.
Wow.
The next day, Burt told the team that if they won that week, he would get revenge on Bill Parcells
Okay.
with...
Gatorade bath, all
Yep,
right.
the Giants won, and Burt went over, dumped the Gatorade, and the Gatorade bucket, it went over the head, the coach's head. Tradition was born, and it continues today.
That's awesome. Now, are you a fan of it?
Love it.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. But stick with it.
Okay, what do you mean?
I don't need people putting confetti in.
Okay.
I don't need
all
people
right.
putting mayo in.
Well, that's the Mayo Bowl. You can do it
I
for the Mayo
know,
Bowl.
but
Come
no,
on.
you stick with the Gatorade. You stick with. Got it. Never mind.
No. I think it's awesome, yeah, and I do think it's one of, like, we talk about sports betting. I
killing
think
me,
it's
Small,
one of
but
the
go ahead.
funniest prop bets that they have out there for the Super Bowl specifically. They bet what the color of the Gatorade is going to be when they come out. I think it's a
Now
great.
you can change the color. That's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a great prop bet. I think it's awesome, and I love watching the videos.
The sad part is, do you really kind of? It's almost, and sometimes we put on the blinders. It's almost a little football centric because you don't see it done in the NBA. You don't see it really done in NHL.
Yeah.
Or MLB or something like that. You know what I'm getting at?
The grass
MLB
has something
maybe.
to do with it.
Huh?
The grass has
right,
something to do with it.
and it's easy to clean up. So I've seen it more and more with that.
Yeah.
But I think it's an awesome thing, and I think that, when you think about sports and all the history and everything that's going on in every sport, go back to the Olympics and everything else, here we are debating whether or not
Right?
the
Gatorade
Gatorade
should be poured or
bath,
not.
right?
They ask coaches,
is a good
I'm sure
thing
they
or
have a
not?
different answer.
Oh, coaches hate it.
Yeah.
What I love though is when it's minus 15.
Yeah.
And they're dumping
Yeah.
the Gatorade bath
Those poor
on them,
guys.
and those poor guys are just like, it's
gonna be cold, yeah.
Yeah, it's cold. So it's a cool thing. Like I said, it's just become a part of sports, and it's become so much of and why I said I didn't like it. It's become so entrenched in sports that when they do confetti,
Yeah.
or
No,
when they
I
put
get you.
mayo, they've kind of said, hey, we'll go with it, but we're going to make our own little tweaks. It's because of the Gatorade bath.
No, yeah, no, I got you.
All right. So what do I always say when you're acting up in the car?
Don't make me turn this car around. I've heard it my whole freaking life.
It's also a great song.
Yeah.
That means, guess what?
All right.
NASCAR.
Okay.
Time to do a little NASCAR talk. This year at the All-Star race, they'll introduce a new and totally random rule called the promoter caution, which means that any time during the race, the promoter of the event can throw a caution flag. The thinking is it could bring the field back together. If one car got away, it's going to spice up the race a little bit.
Yeah, see, a lot of the drivers, though, aren't into the random flag idea. Kyle Busch even compared NASCAR to a circus for even suggesting it. So the question is, are we fans of the NASCAR promoter caution flags? I'll let you start.
Okay, so we were able to talk to Joey Logano, and we asked him about this, and he didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I think it just becomes the timing issue. You know, you make decisions on, you get a certain amount of tires for a race. Whether rain's coming, what adjustments you need to make on the car. Is there, a wreck? There's so many variables that makes NASCAR what it is, just for a promoter to go, hey, I'm gonna throw a flag, a caution flag, and let's be real and let's be honest. The promoter caution flags have been there forever.
I mean, you see it.
And what I mean is, you might as well call the promoter caution a debris caution.
Yeah.
Because there'll be Talladega and a car is, a half straightaway ahead, and all of a sudden there's debris, and no television, station or network will show the track or the debris, because where's the debris?
It's not there.
Right.
No, I do think that is not really a good thing, especially because they've added in, so many rules with cautions lately.
And you got the stages too.
That's the thing I was going to say, right? So there's already automatic cautions that the teams don't have to take, but there's the opportunity to do so after each stage, which to me just seems like a promoter caution in and of itself. And then, of course, there's all the discourse around, a caution in the final laps of the race.
Right.
Where if a caution is called in those final laps, whoever's at the front of that caution, whether they've gotten past the checkered line or not, gets the win automatically.
Right.
So cautions have already become such an overarching part of the sport, outside of what fair weather fans want to see, which is the crashes that come with cautions. So to have there's so many cautions, especially at a short track.
Well, Texas, prime example. Last year, April, for the Texas race, they had 16 cautions without doing the stages.
Yeah.
So now you're talking 16, 3 stages, 19. You're talking 20 cautions.
And there needs to be a
limit. So if there's 16, why?
Because promoters can't just, and that's where I also don't like necessarily that it's on the promoter's judgment.
Right.
Whether that is the track promoter, right?
Is it NASCAR?
That's what, so is
Who's making the call?
Is it an official official caution? That's what I want to understand is how does it work about who gets the final say of when they're calling it? How many can they call?
Right.
And how much of a, do they have to give like a heads up to the drivers, right? To say, hey, we're about to throw this promoter caution, right? Because I think it takes away from a lot of what the sport is.
All right. So if I had a steering wheel right here, we could continue straight.
Okay.
I would not have to turn the car around.
Wouldn't need a steering
wheel.
wheel.
No, good. Well, all right, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to make it fun.
Sure.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So good
That's
job.
a good one. There we
I like
go.
that.
All right. All right, Dad, serious question for you. Serious subject.
Go ahead.
Do you have a FanDuel account? Do you know what FanDuel is?
Hold on. If Mom's watching, I do not.
Oh, all right.
Just kidding. I do not. All right. It brings us to an interesting debate. Has sports betting taken over the fun of sports?
Yeah, I think so, because there's 50 legal online sports books operating in the United States. So getting into it, I just think that there's so much to go with it. I think, fantasy football, fantasy sports is one thing, but for the amount of different betting apps there are and the partnerships that they have with the leagues, I think now you go and I'll watch a game at a sports bar and more people are watching the game hoping that their parlay hits rather than being excited about what the score on the field is. And for me, or on the court, or on it, and then when they get what they want in their parlay, then they're done watching. And so for me, I don't really think that is a good thing in terms of the actual viewership of the sport.
I struggle with it. I mean, I go back to old school where if you were to place a bet, you had to go to the alley, meet Mike the bookie, and make your bet.
Yeah, and then he breaks his
if you
arm,
lost, if you lost, you better have his money the next day. But for me, it's a thin line to walk, because here's what bothers me: the fact that there's so many of them.
Yeah.
People have become so entrenched in it.
Yeah.
That they don't really, are they even watching the sport? Do they even really care about the sport? Or is it all about the money? And as I got to thinking about it more, when you talk about a thin line that we walk, and I look at when it's on social media and stuff, the over-under will be, let's say for a football game, like 75 points.
Yeah.
But that field goal in the last minute makes it, over.
Yeah.
And, and it messes everybody up. If you're getting into whether sports betting is a good or bad thing, and I guess this would be another, I'm throwing it out there, would any of the leagues be on the fix? And if FanDuel is sponsoring the NFL, Do you know, and I'm going down a path that maybe I shouldn't go, but you know what I'm trying to get
No,
at?
if they're going to punish the players for using it, or punish teams, or anybody associated with the organization.
I mean, if you're not going to let your players do it, then fans shouldn't do it.
Well, not only that, you shouldn't have partnerships with them.
That's right. That is I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
And you go on ESPN and you can see all of it. Like, I just want to see the score. I don't need to see all the stats around it.
Right.
So for me, I think that's where it kind of gets into the weeds. It's always been around. It's always been a thing,
Right.
since sports has been there. But I think the good thing is that it provides more access for anybody to do
Right.
so.
And why can you bet, but Pete Rose can't?
Right. That's the whole thing about it.
I mean,
or Calvin Ridley.
Right. It doesn't make any sense in terms of that, and you just get into a very sketchy area. But listen, I get it. People love it.
They do.
And I remember going to Vegas one time, and I put a 3-game parlay, and I was like all wrapped up in it. And also it can get addictive.
Absolutely can.
And that's where you got to walk the fine line.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, well, that's Talkin Sports with my dad.
With your son. Again,
All right, with your son.
Either I got to start saying these, or we got to change the logo up, right? Thanks for joining us.
I just want you to be able to talk to the young folks that do all this. So go ahead.
What you're talking about. All right. So if you have any topics you want us to debate, please hit us up on our social medias.
We'll see you next time. I do have social media accounts. So.
Okay.